Hey everybody, this is TJR. So the other week I talked about Amazon's Vinyl Record Club of the Month. And I said that I was going to go ahead and subscribe and share my experience with you all. The video got a lot of comments. I want to thank everybody for commenting. But one question that came up a number of times is individuals asking, why would anybody do this? Why would you let some so-called experts decide what music to send you? Saying, I'd rather just research it myself. And I understand that. I used to rely on radio to tell me what was new and what was coming out back in the day. Realize this was a long time ago. I gave up on terrestrial radio decades ago. And I find new music on my own now because terrestrial radio has failed. And I just do my own research and look for new things. But also bear in mind that when I first got into music, it was the mid to late 70s. I bought records back then because that was the dominant format. But during the 80s, CDs came along and that was it. Like most people, got rid of the records, started getting CDs. So I probably have, I would imagine, a fair amount of these essential classic albums that they say that they're going to be sending out, because that's what this club is called. They're calling it Golden Era Essentials or something like that. And I think that's a good way to go. It's playing it safe when you go with what is considered the classics. But for myself personally, I probably am going to end up owning a good handful of the albums that they're going to send out, but I own them on CD. I don't own them on vinyl. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe I might get some really good deals on a lot of classic albums that I already own, but don't own on vinyl. Because after all, I've only gotten back into vinyl in a big way over the last 3 to 4 years. Also, a lot of people complained about the fact that they don't tell you what's coming. And I said this in my video, yet I think a lot of people weren't listening. The moment I clicked subscribe, I got an email telling me to download my purchase. 9.5 times out of 10, when you buy a physical album from Amazon, doesn't matter if it's a CD or a vinyl record, they will add it to your Amazon digital library. This is, of course, provided it's Prime, which I am a Prime subscriber. But they will also let you download an MP3 copy. They have a thing called auto-rip, where as soon as you buy it, you can download an MP3 copy while you're waiting for it to arrive. I don't even need to do that. I mean, I did download it, but I don't really need to do it because I can just stream it Untitled once I knew what the album was. And so I've been listening to the album for the last several days now. I didn't get this immediately, by the way. It took about maybe almost a week to get it, which is fine. But I've been listening to it so that I can actually review the album. And I think that's another thing. I realized that, one, I could try out this service, let you know my experience with it by using it, and I could also talk about each album. And it kind of, in a way, I guess, forces me or encourages me to pay attention to that album and do a review of it. So I'm going to do all that today as well. So first of all, let's talk about the packaging. A number of people complained about Amazon's packaging, saying that their records get damaged in transit, that they're poorly packaged. My experience has always been different. I've always received records from them in really secure packaging. This looks fairly secure. It has these edges that come out on each side to kind of help protect the edges of the record itself so those don't get dinged. But I've seen them better packaged, to be honest. I've seen where they do this and then they put this in a larger box with those air bubbles so that it's really well protected. And I've seen that too. One other thing I noticed is there's nothing about the packaging that says, Amazon, Record of the Month Club. There's nothing that says that here. I've seen other record clubs do this. Not that I've ever joined them. This is the first one I've ever joined, but I've seen their promos, and of course they always come in like a box that basically lets you know what it is. And of course they're just getting started. Maybe they'll do that sooner, who knows. At the end of the day, it's not that important, but it is nice. Now, let me go ahead and open this up here. Another thing is there's nothing inside that says, welcome to our record club, welcome to your selection of the month. There is, of course, a sheet that lets me know about how to do returns, of course. And my experience with Amazon and returns is that it's always been terribly, terribly easy to do. So this is a record that I'm certainly aware of. I remember back in the day when it came out, but I've never owned it. And I've never really listened to it in its entirety, although I am familiar with some of the tracks on it. And the album here is London Calling by The Clash. I was kind of hoping I'd get Pink Floyd's The Wall because, my copy of Pink Floyd The Wall is on CD, and it would have been nice to have gotten it on vinyl. Now, this is a double album, and it lists for quite a bit more than $25, which was the monthly, subscription fee. And this is the first month album, and they send you one a month is what they say. If I intend to send this back, I cannot break the seal on this. I must keep it sealed. I have to send it back with the shrink wrap still on it. So I have spent the last several days listening to it on Tidal. And of course, I downloaded the download that they said I could download, and I've got that on my Apple Music on my drive. And of course, I can also play it there as well, even if I choose to, send it back. Now, this is on 180-gram vinyl. It's from We Are Vinyl. As far as I know, this is probably a very good pressing, even if I don't open it. But let's talk about the record itself. So I spent the last several days listening, and I have to admit to a certain amount of surprise. Now, of course, I'm familiar with the title track, London Calling. I think that's a great, great song. But what surprised me about this is, first of all, just how musically diverse it is, how much it plays with different genres. I think of the Clash as a punk band. That's what they're usually referred to as. And yet, they have songs that play with reggae, songs that play with rockabilly, songs that play with swing. And surprisingly, there is a lot of pop elements on this album in a lot of these songs. We tend to think of punk rockers as musicians who can't play. And there is some truth to that a lot of them just know how to bang on 3 or 4 chords. But as I listen to this, these songs are very textured. London Calling, the one that I, of course, knew from the radio, was way more textured than I remembered it being. And the album itself shows a lot of really good musicianship. These guys really knew how to play. I think where a lot of the punk label comes from is, one, in the energy that this album has, and in probably the energy of their live performances, but also the lead vocals. Looking here at the back credits, Mick Jones, guitar vocals, Joe Strummer, vocals, rhythm guitar, Paul Simonson, bass vocals, Topper Headon, if I say it right, or Headon, drums, percussion. I'm not sure which of the 3 was the primary lead vocalist or if they shared lead vocal duties, but the lead vocals, of course, have that punk sound. They're very rough, but in a good way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not disparaging the vocals. I think the vocals fit the songs on this album perfectly. But I couldn't be prepared for just how fun and kind of party rock I found this album to be. There are a lot of songs that I thought were very enjoyable. And there were a lot of songs on this album that I thought were just kind of, I can take it or leave it. They would make a nice party background soundtrack, but nothing that I'd really listen to a whole lot of. Like I said, maybe about half of them I really enjoyed, and about half of them not so much. But none of them were as strong as the title track, London Calling, which I think is a great song. So, having listened to it quite a few times now, since knowing that I was going to get this, I have decided that I am not going to keep it. I'm going to send it back. And of course, I'll let you know how that goes. But I expect that to go pretty easy because every experience I've ever had has gone very easy with them as far as returns are concerned. And let's see what I get the next time. Maybe it'll be The Wall. Maybe not. We'll see. But another good thing about this whole thing is that just the fact that I knew this was coming, I started to listen to this album intently, carefully, so that I could review it and talk about it. and so that I could know if I wanted to keep it. And I think that's a good thing. It really got me to listen to this album. Of course, if it's The Wall, I've already heard it thousands and thousands of times. I already know that I like it. But I've never talked about The Wall on this channel. And if they send that album to me, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give it a review. Maybe not an in-depth analysis, but I'm going to give it a review and discuss it. And of course, you can probably tell I like The Wall, but that doesn't mean that's all there is to say about it. So anyways, though, I also noticed the edges here are fine, no damage, nothing like that. That's good shape. So apparently this package worked, you know. So there you have it. This was the first selection. It's definitely retail priced more than the 25 bucks. So if you like this album, that was a bargain. And I should also mention, I'm sure that a lot of you out there really like this album. And just bear in mind, it's okay to disagree about music. I'm sure for some of you, this was a soundtrack of your youth. And you have a lot of strong feelings about this album. It wasn't a soundtrack for my youth. And I do recognize a lot of good things about it. It just wasn't enough to make me keep it. But let me know what your thoughts on this album are. Good or bad, let me know. Leave your comments. I do want to read them. As always, if you like what I do here, be sure to click like, click subscribe, smash that bell notification icon so you can know when I release new videos. Also, I want to thank my patron supporters who are helping me to make more videos. If you'd like to be a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJRTheOriginal. And also, I want to thank everybody who shares these videos on their social media. That helps a great deal. And if you can't become a patron supporter, clicking like also helps out a great deal, just like sharing them on your social media does. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. And let's see what arrives next.